so yesterday, Wednesday, there was a lot of good price action. If we look on the higher time frame, drop of price, it tagged these last week's low and then bounced significantly. And then there are two gaps, two H4 gaps. This already gap got mitigated. Price was for this in the morning in London session, it was tagging this 4-hour high and then reacting off of it. And on the 1 hour you could see that we have some change in the state. First change in the state was here. Let's do it. And the second one was already here. And what we could see in in Asia session, this was Asia session. I will turn it on. In Asia session there was not much going on. And then price just printed a low, reacted off of this level within the 1 hour gap as well, but there was also a gap below, so mostly kindly reacting off of the change in the state and then just moving upwards. And then London just continued to move up, printing a high in this 4-hour gap. So preparing for the US session, I was thinking, okay, so we could, there was also red folder news, the job openings, Jolt job openings. I thought, okay, we can get a move up and then move back to London low, maybe Asia low, and then react again. Or we could also just drop first and then move up depending on the news. So if we go to the 5 minutes, let's see, where are we? Okay, this is 8 o'clock. Let's just see what price will do. Oh yeah, I think price was already creating. Let's just stop it. Oh, this was already in the at the open. So I was watching this and I was thinking, okay, we have this 15-minute fair value gap. I don't think it was on the 1 hour. Yeah, okay, there were multiple gaps. So I was thinking, okay, so we have all these lows here. This low already got taken out just before the open. And I was thinking, okay, I think a move within this gap should be okay to start reacting off of it. And that mostly had to do with ES. Was it a little bit more bearish? Not really. But it seemed a bit heavier. So on the 5 minute, we could see there was a lot of reaction already and a lot of chop. And when there's a lot of chop, I don't prefer to trade the lower time frame, especially this section. As you can see, ES was already moving up and then making this drop down, and this created the first SMT, bullish SMT. And I think there was a beautiful trade here, because first you would think, okay, so we're in this bullish gap, but there is now a bearish IFVG being printed. So far this bullish gap is holding, and I was looking at this, and then suddenly there was another bullish SMT, and ES was just showing really heavy price action, and you could say, hey, you could short this on the way down, but because of the bullish price action, you don't really know what's going to happen afterwards. So what did happen was that it created another gap. This is now a bullish gap, and since price just went up and just fully corrected this bearish gap, while we're still in a higher time frame bullish gap, then my opinion would be to preferably trade this long instead of trading it short. Now we have two things. We have a bearish IFVG being formed and it being immediately broken by one candle, creating this BPR, balanced price range. So I didn't trade it, I only traded on paper because still feeling sick. This is then a very good trade to take. and then you can trade it back to London high or even higher, because I think that price action overall was still bullish. Seeing the change in the state would hold. As I mentioned before, there I take the retest and nothing else. So as you can see, I have to look at the ticks, by the way. Would I get a fill? 30? I would not get a fill. It would be one tick off. So that would be a shame, but then it actually shows you that patience pays off, and you could expect that such a bullish gap would hold. So this would actually be a no entry, which would be a damn shame, because I think from here it just went up afterwards. Yeah, just beautiful price action. And now it gets interesting again. So MNQ is actually paving the way, because it already took out London in this candle for ES. So ES was being heavy. It was generating a lot of liquidity here. This is a lot of liquidity, and it's all wanting to be taken out. And once it got taken out, then it's interesting to look at the reversal. And I think the timing is also perfect, around 11 AM, which is an ideal reversal time. Let's move to the 1 minute. And then I will look if there are any interesting gaps showing. Okay, so now it gets interesting. Do we have a good gap? So I'm not sure how wide this gap is. It is, okay, 6 point and a bit. So this is interesting, because now we have London taken for ES. It's clearly stagnating, or I'd say it, stalling above the level. It's already showing an SMT with NQ, lower high and a higher high for ES. So now I would say a break below this gap is a short. And you could take this short once it breaks on the M2. You could go really tight, but I would, if this would be the high of the wick, the wick high before the break, I would take that and would take a 2R, go easy, but I think it has a lot of way to run. Okay, so now it's interesting. I would take the stop here, and you could see that the candle afterwards was an immediate retest, and this wick actually got created here. So now let's see what happens. Okay, that's perfect. Look. Oh wow, it actually went really far. So this is an interesting reversal pattern. So what's the objective? NQ was front running. It already went past London. Did it take any other level? It went through the, oh, okay, look. So slow. It actually also took out this level, which I think was a 4-hour level. So within a 1 hour gap, not really. So it actually already took out that level. So then we have 2 levels, but also a higher time frame SMT. And I didn't use my check table because I want to see a few things. So there was a sweep. I don't think we were in an FEG, but there was an SMT. Was it 50% of the move? Let's check it. So did we actually correct 50% of this move? Yes, but we already did way before that, so I wouldn't make that count as such. That would be like okay, so we have a sweep and we have an SMT, and then on the lower time frame we have an IFVG, an SMT. What do we have more? Rather clean PA. You could also see it as such, right? That this is your change in the state. and you could take a retest of the change in the state with the high above. But that could potentially, here it would also be, look, because at first your change in the state is here. It didn't get broken, but then we have a new high, so then the change in the state moves to this level, drop, and the retest is, I think, to the tick. Yeah, it's to the tick, and then it sells off. So that's just for added confluence. And I think even people, but then you would go to the 1 minute, you can make this a breaker. But normally then the change in the state and the breaker quite align. But ideally you want to see the breaker hold. So this is then your bearish breaker, and you see that price does not once it. Did it break? No, it actually didn't break. So then here this is still breaker territory. Here it breaks, and then you want to see it hold. So yeah, that's a solid trade. Yeah, but then I think, yeah, you should keep it on the 2 minute. So then it breaks, and then the retest is, and then you can trade it short. That was a really, really good setup.